Hi everyone, and welcome back to Purpose to Love. My name is Randy, and today we're going to talk about preparing your special needs child for adulthood. Now, I have two parts to this, and the first part I want to talk about preparation tips for your child, and then preparation tips for you as a parent. So these are just my insights. I've got a chance to work in an education setting and then in adult programming, and so I got a chance to see both sides of the spectrum. So let's get started. So the first part I want to just talk about in terms of preparation tips for your child. I want to explain that education and academics is important across the board. They should learn their ELA, they should learn their math, their sciences, their technology, all of that is important. But as special educators, having been a special ed teacher, what we are challenged to do is to incorporate some of the things I'm going to talk about into their academics, so it allows for a well-rounded way of working on all their skills. So the first part is communication. Communication is key. Being able to communicate their likes or their dislikes, yes or no, are very important. They go a long way. And for those who may have challenges with communication, there is always something that we can do to provide anyone with some type of language, with some type of communication, whether they're signing and using ASL or they're using home signs, whether they're able to type out or write up what they want to say. Maybe they're using high-tech type communication tools such as a Dynavox or an iPad, maybe picture symbols, whatever it is that they need to use to communicate is what we want to really encourage throughout their education process or their journey, so that when they get into adulthood, they are more able to express some of the things that they're feeling or thinking. It makes it a lot easier for staff to communicate when there is some kind of communication already in place for the person, for the individual who is being served. So the next thing I want to talk about is this concept of coping skills. Coping skills are very important for everyone, for you, for me, for your child, but especially for your child. So really encouraging the people who are working with your child and you yourself finding different ways to help them find coping skills or utilize coping skills as independently as possible. It allows them to self-soothe. It helps them to be proactive in how they respond to their environmental factors. It helps to reduce or hopefully get rid of those maladaptive behaviors. So coping skills are really important. Utilize your team, your teachers, your therapists, your staff who are working with your child or your adult child all day, every day. You yourself know the things that they like and they don't like, or what may help or what may not help. So definitely take the time to, do a little digging or more research if you need to on, different types of coping strategies that might help your child deal with the world. There's so many different kind of coping skills or coping strategies. There's utilizing exercise, there's music, there's art, there's just so many different things that can be helpful. But what you really want to do is you want to make sure that these coping skills can be used by anyone who's working with your child and in any place and anywhere. It shouldn't just be germane to your home or the school. You want it to be something that can be generalized in different locations and different places with different people. The next part, which is really important, transitioning. So transitioning from the education setting to an adult day program, adult program setting, really important. If your child is able to be a part of the process, and really be consciously a part of the process or involved or engaged in some way, shape, or the other, maybe they're making some choices here and there, that's awesome, that's really great, and that's important. Obviously if your child obsesses about planning and things in advance, maybe, hold off a little bit. But if they're able to be a part of the process, really important, they can kind of get a sense for what their life might look like. You can collaborate with your behavior specialist or other therapists to help create storybooks, or maybe your speech pathologist, to create storybooks or things like that to help your child understand what's going to be happening next. I think all of that is really great, even if it's like transitioning from elementary to middle school or middle school to high school. I think all of those things are really important, and they play a big part in your child's success when they are transitioning into a new environment. And the last thing I want to talk about in terms of preparing your special needs child for adulthood is this concept of independence. Independence is so important, right? And it kind of goes without saying, every parent is working towards having their child be as independent in whatever area, in all areas as possible. So I just wanted to put that out there again, because sometimes we want to always do for our loved ones and hold their hand through everything. But the more we can teach the child, the student, to be as independent as possible, the better. The more autonomy they have, the more choices they can make more confidently, and it just makes a difference in terms of what their adult life looks like. Of course, again, independence looks different for everyone. Maybe your child is able to eat with a spoon all on their own, and that's really important for them. That's great. Encourage that independence as much as possible, and so we don't want to take that away from the student. We always want to, whether they're in the education system or adult programming system, we always want to shoot for the least restrictive environment as possible, and that has a large part to do with their independence. So independence is key. So those are just my thoughts on preparing or preparation tips for your child for adulthood. And so let's move into preparation tips for you as a parent. Here for you parents, I want to give you some things just to keep in mind. And one of the first things I have on my list is this concept of turnover rates in regards to staff. When you look at staff in adult program settings, it's a little different than an education setting when you're looking at teachers and paraprofessionals and teachers' assistants, all that. It mirrors each other a little bit, but it's still very different worlds. And I think the mindsets are a little bit different. When in an education setting, there's more of a passion for the field of education and teaching and all that kind of stuff. When you get to adult programming, it's a little different. It's more of this is a job. This is something that I know how to do. I can care for people. This is like a mindset of some staff. They have more of a mindset of I can care for people. I care for my family, and so I can care for people. I can do this as a job. It may not necessarily be a passion. And then you have some staff who are very passionate about what they do, and they enjoy working, directly with the individual or managing or whatever. And so there's lots of different factors, but I think the biggest part is just the structure of the day is different, and the mindset is different, and the pay is different. And there's a few other things that go into day programming that make it difficult for like a direct care worker. They might be required to do a lot of things that maybe like paperwork that teachers would do that TAs don't do or paraprofessionals don't really do, but they have to do on top of like managing the individual's day and like taking them out in the community or helping them, toilet or feed or whatever. And so there's a lot of work that staff and direct care workers do. And unfortunately, they are not monetarily compensated. The pay is not great. And so that makes it difficult to kind of keep staff coming in. So just a concept I wanted to keep in mind. So the next thing on my list is this concept of checks and balances. So typically in an adult programming setting or world, you are assigned a social worker or a case manager or a supports coordinator, and those terms are used interchangeably and they might be different for each state. But it sounds like one of those guys. And so they usually are the ones who are managing the ISP, or the individual support plan. It's very similar to the IEP, which is your individual education plan for your child. And so they're the ones who manage the paperwork for all of that. So within the adult programming world, the supports coordinator or the case manager also goes into the home. They go into the home into your private home to check on you and your child, to make sure you're both okay, to make sure you guys have what you need, just to check to see if you feel comfortable with the services that they are providing, or if your child lives residentially and they don't live at home with you, they go into that home as well. They check with the staff, or they check with the individual to make sure that they're well and everything is taken care of, and that they're that they're safe. So it's really just to check to make sure everyone's okay. It's not necessarily to come against you or to accuse or anything like that. They're really just there to be a support. I have had parents get frustrated with the support coordinator because, they felt defensive, like, that they weren't doing something right, or there was something wrong that they were doing. But that wasn't the case. It was really the support coordinator just trying to do her job and make sure that everything was well and do her checks and balances. So it's just a measure of precaution and support for you and your child. The next thing on the list is this concept of connecting with the staff. So connecting with the staff, I feel like, goes along with the first thing on the list, which was this turnover rates and staffing and connecting with the staff. They all kind of fit together. I won't say that this is the end all or be all of staff turnover rate, but it really does help when staff feel connected or can relate to the parent or parents of the person they're caring for. And you want to do that too. You want to get to know the person and make them feel valued and encouraged. You know your child, and you know their strengths, their weaknesses, the things that make them fun and funny to be around, but then you also know their challenges and their hardships. And so recognizing that and really being able to connect with the staff who's caring for your child, I think, is really important. And then lastly, I have on my list is to remember to just know that we're all here to help you. We're here to help you and your child, your family. We're all just really trying to come together on the education side and in adult programming. We're all just trying to come together to give you the supports that you need to feel encouraged, supported, have the resources that allow your child to be successful in their life, from education all the way through adulthood. So just remember that. I know it can be really challenging, overwhelming, frustrating, but just remember that your teachers, your social workers, your staff, your paraprofessionals are all there to help you and help your child succeed. So those are my thoughts. Please, if you have any questions or thoughts, please leave a message, a comment below. Remember, you are amazing and you are purposed to love. Bye.